It's Friday evening here in Barcelona. I'm just after having a vermouth in Mr. Robinson's. Love how they serve it with a slice of orange and an olive. I was playing volleyball down on the beach with friends after work. I love how the weather allows you to just be outside after work, having a coffee or a drink. And then later on, we're heading off to one of my favorite restaurants in Elborn. So can't wait to go back there. And that's pretty much a typical Friday evening in Barcelona. So many lovely bars to try.
Hello, you're listening to Right So, Off We Go, the podcast where you'll get the inside track on destinations worldwide. I'm Ailish Ford, and today we're off to Barcelona, where I chat with the Dublin woman Anna Miles. During our conversation, she chats to me about the fabulous selection of bars in the city.
There are countless amounts of bars. You know, if you want a speakeasy cocktail vibe, if you want like a little pub where there's loads of locals and it's very, Catalan, or if you want a sports bar. So yeah, those areas, San Antoni and then Raval have really cool bars. Really love them.
She tells me about a trip I can take up to the mountains.
Getting a train to Montserrat. You can hike up there or you can get a cable car up to the monastery. And it's so beautiful, and if you get up there at a particular time, you can hear the boys' choir singing and the bells ringing.
And talks about a favourite area of hers in Barcelona.
You can walk up to Gracia. There's lots of little restaurants, lovely boutique shops, bars, plazas.
We started our conversation with Anna telling me how she came to be in Barcelona and what life is like there.
I'd say it was probably 2018. Myself and a few friends, we went to South America for the summer. I'm a primary school teacher, so we used the whole 2 months to go traveling. And I think having, been in Spanish-speaking countries when I traveled Peru and Bolivia, I really wanted to see more of Spain. And Barcelona, I first went a year after being in South America with a friend for a weekend, and just fell in love with it. It was so beautiful, and wanted to come back. Just the lifestyle, the outdoor lifestyle is just fabulous. You wake up and you don't have to be getting on your rain jacket or your umbrella. The cost of living is just, compared to home, it's fantastic. So much cheaper to rent, to go out for meals, for coffees. I'm teaching at the moment. I'm teaching Irish online, doing tutoring to students back home in Ireland. So that means then I do that in the evening, and during the day I get to go to Spanish school. So I'm learning Spanish during the day and then going to the beach, when I'm finished Spanish school, before I do my work in the evenings.
That's fantastic. So I know when I am thinking of going to a place, often what I do is I get a book that's set in the place and I read it just so that I can have some idea of what I'm going to expect. And it kind of makes it feel a bit more familiar than when I'm there. Are there any books that spring to mind for you?
Yeah, and I actually read it whilst living here, is Colm Tóibín's Homage to Barcelona. So Tóibín lived here in the 70s. I think he was quite young, and then he came back in the early 90s, and that's when he wrote his book. And each chapter kind of gives you an insight into Barcelona in the 70s after Franco, and then again in the 90s. And it gives you a real kind of insight into the characters, the people that live in Barcelona, the Catalan culture, and the different areas of the city and how they've changed in that period of time. And then it's interesting living here, then seeing again how that street that he mentions in the book is totally different again. So I really loved reading that book whilst being here, but I'd highly recommend reading it before you come.
Okay, brilliant. And then what about a film or a TV series? Any that springs to mind? Because I guess not everybody is a
Yeah, of
reader.
course. There's the film Vicky Cristina Barcelona. It's directed by Woody Allen, but it's shot in Barcelona, and then it really does show off the city.
Yeah, it really, Barcelona is the real star of that film, I think, isn't
100%. Yeah,
it?
it's just so beautiful. If you've never been or if you've been, it's just, I feel like coming to Barcelona anyway, you don't really need a movie to show how fabulous it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about the music then, Anna? Is there any music that defines it, do you
Well, there's
think?
all types of music. I suppose when you're here, you can go to any type of concert, be it jazz, salsa, pop. But I think the one that people think of, I suppose, is Ed Sheeran's Barcelona, which is very you mentioned the places, the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, and the kind of the hot weather and the Mediterranean lifestyle. But the one I love is the iconic song Barcelona that Freddie Mercury with the opera singer Montserrat Caballé, and they performed that in front of the National Palace on the steps there, kind of behind the Magic Fountain, and it's the opening of the '92 Olympics. So that is a must watch on YouTube. It's beautiful.
Lovely. Again, that kind of gives you the atmosphere, I guess. And then, of course, Barcelona is a very historical place. So, what is its history? Now, we don't want a history lesson, but just give us an idea of where it's come
There's a
from.
really rich history, and then it was originally an Iberian settlement, and then it was a Roman colony, and then it was ruled by pretty sure the Moors, the Franks, and then the Counts of Barcelona. But again, what you'll see around the city is that those different rulers that ruled Barcelona have left an imprint in the architecture of the city today. And in the medieval times, it was a big trading power where it's situated on the Mediterranean, and the beautiful Gothic style buildings that you can see now, like the cathedral in the Gothic Quarter, can be seen, I suppose, and that's a part of the Barcelona history. And also the modern art. Like you have Miro, Gaudi, Picasso moved here in his teens. You can see Gaudi's architecture everywhere in the city. He's obviously very famous for Sagrada Familia, but the Picasso Museum then is amazing. It's a real spot to go to when you're visiting. So yeah, it's just steeped in history. And then again, you have Christopher Columbus, who after traveling to the New World, he came back to Ferdinand and Isabella in Barcelona after his trip to let them know how it went, because they funded the ships and the expedition. But it's actually lovely. There's a statue then of him, with his telescope.
Yeah, you don't associate Columbus with Barcelona, so
No,
that's
yeah, exactly, and
interesting.
it's
Yeah.
a statue dedicated to him after that part of the history. So yeah, it's just steeped in history, and there's countless museums and Catalan history, Barcelona history. It's you could spend a weekend going to museums and galleries here, really.
And tell me, Anna, I always think that a city is defined by its people. So, what are the people like, and how do you get on with them?
Yeah, so again, I always tell people I don't really feel like I live in Spain. I live in Catalonia. But again, the people are so lovely and friendly. They're very proud people of they're so proud of their culture and their language. Very, I suppose, similar to Irish people in that regard with their music, their language, their history. And I'll always make an effort to speak a little bit of the few words I know in Catalan. But yeah, very very friendly people, I find. But again, there's a huge expat community here. There's a lot of international, people from different countries here. You'll find like Irish, but there's a lot of South American, Central American people living here. So yeah, it's just but again, the Catalan people are lovely people, but there is such a mixture of cultures here too.
And I guess that adds to the
Yeah,
atmosphere of the place as well.
100%. And you feel that in the music and the concerts that are on and the outdoor festivals. Then, you've Latin American dance workshops, and you've all types of things going on outside and inside, that people bring over, and they're teaching classes and different things.
And Anna, what do you think is the best time of year to visit again for anybody thinking of going? Is there a particular time that you think works best?
Yeah, so again, if you really want to avoid, I suppose, the heat, the July and August heat, September it's still warm, but I suppose it's off peak times as well. But every weekend there's some type of festival, be it a saint, or a area. They do quite a lot of different parts of Barcelona, the different barrios, the different sections of the city. They sometimes celebrate different festivals, in particular times of the year. But in September there's a festival called La Marseille, and during that time they have fantastic processions and parades through the city with these giant, like paper mache statues. They actually can be seen in a museum during the year, but they often come up at different festivals. When you're here, you see them quite a lot. And then in the nighttime, on one of the days for La Marseille, there's a fire festival parade, Carafoc, I think it's called, Catalan. And at nighttime, there's, pyrotechnics, and there's and all different types of things. People are walking through the streets, and there's these different floats, and everyone is standing on the streets at nighttime. And there's just a real fabulous atmosphere. People are out on the streets celebrating it. And again, not something you'd really get in a tourist book, or something you'd be told to go to. Yeah, I really like September because the weather is still warm but not very, very hot.
Oh, fantastic. That sounds great. So, what about the food then? Again, I think for a lot of people traveling, food is important. So, what would be a typical meal? If you were going to eat out, what would a typical meal be in
Yeah,
Barcelona?
well, I suppose in Barcelona, in Spain, you'll have tapas, so you never get sick of tapas. For me, again, I do cook at home, but it is so cheap compared to Dublin to eat out. So I do that quite a bit. Um, yeah, so they have kind of similar to what I thought when I first came over here was bruschetta, but pan con tomate, which is just like this glass bread. So it's like a roll kind of cut in the middle, and it's flat. And then they drizzle some olive oil. They cut a big enough tomato in half, and then they squeeze and they like smother the juices and the whole of the tomato onto the bread and the olive oil, and then sea salt and a little bit more of the olive oil, and the bread will be in the oven, so it'll be kind of warm, and you can get that in every restaurant as kind of an appetizer. So that is really Catalan. That is padron peppers. I'll always order padron peppers for the table. Again, they're nearly the size of chilies. They're green, and they're kind of grilled, I suppose. And then I love paella. Again, paella is it depends where you go, but I'll always get a seafood paella if I'm ordering paella, making sure. And I've been to a cooking class, a few of them, that if it's burnt along, if the rice is nearly kind of crispy and burnt along the edges of the pan, it shows that it's a really good, well-made paella. And then, oh, the prawns pil as well, in the garlic oil sauce. I could go on really.
Okay, so tell me, Anna, if you had only one day in Barcelona, how would you spend it? So, what would you see and do? What would that perfect day look like?
Yeah, so and I had countless visitors, and I still have visitors coming over, friends and family. I would recommend, depending on the preference, a walking tour or a bike tour. I think there's no better thing to do when you go visit a new place, a city especially, is do a walking tour. And usually you'll find they're university students that are studying history. So walking tour maybe in the morning. Again, that would bring you around the Gothic area, the Gothic Quarter. They bring you over to the beach to see the cathedral in the Gothic area. Barceloneta is by the beach. And then up to Eixample is another barrio. And again, the Sagrada Familia is there. They'll bring you around. there. Bring you to Park Güell, and then the Arc de Triomphe. It's a copy of the the Parisian Arc de Triomphe, and you'd cycle around there as well. So then I would highly recommend the National Palace, the up where Freddie Mercury sang Barcelona. It is now a gallery, but it is stunning. The architecture, when you get off, if you were getting the metro, and then there's a big fountain called the Magic Fountain, and then there's steps. And then behind it, it's like this beautiful grand palace. You get a view of Barcelona, not very high, but it is beautiful. And then you can go on and walk up and a little bit further behind it. It's Montjuic, it's the mountain, and you get the cable car up to the castle. Definitely, I'd highly recommend. And then doing a tour of La Sagrada Familia as well. You book in online. It is still being built. Mostly the main architect of the Sagrada Familia was Antoni Gaudi, and he worked on it, I think, from 1880s, the 1880s, and he began to construct it there, and it's still being built. So I think it is now also part of it. I think the nativity part of it is it's protected by UNESCO. It's a World Heritage Site. But from the outside, what you'll see is, especially, you can see it. I think you have to go and do it as a tour, but you will see that there's at the front there's the nativity, built in the in the stone and in the structure. And there's also on another side there's like the Passion of Christ as well, and you'll see the disciples and the columns. And it's like, I think back in 20, I think it was 2018, they put the cross at the front, and it just keeps going higher and higher, like it's still being built. So it is beautiful from both sides. So you can get off the metro there, and you can, depending on what exit you take, you can see it from one side, and then you have to go around and walk on the other side. Amazing. But then to go inside, you book online, and inside is beautiful. Now you can go down to the crypt as well, which is also, I think, protected by, it's an UNESCO World Heritage Site. But inside it's so beautiful. The colours and the windows, the colour, the panes in the windows, just the colour that it brings in is stunning. It's nearly like one part of it is like you're in a forest. It's the greens and the kind of the blues. But like it's obviously very iconic to Barcelona. A friend of mine, he gigs in a bar near there, and we'd be going every week, every Monday, to go see him playing music. And you nearly get so used to it being there, and then you have to kind of pinch yourself, like, wow, it is such fantastic
Yes.
structure. It's absolutely stunning.
So let's go back to your perfect day. So we're up at the Sagrada, and is it around lunchtime by now,
Yeah.
or where are we in the
Yeah, so
day?
then I would recommend lunchtime. Like, there's so many lovely little restaurants and coffee shops that you could recommend. I've countless lists of them. But if you go around the corner and you find a little one that people are sitting outside, and there's a really nice atmosphere, go in, and you're going to get lovely, reasonably priced, Catalan food. But I would highly recommend two restaurants. You could do this in the lunchtime or nighttime. Is one of them is Le Champinet. So it's very traditional Catalan restaurant. It is right around the corner from the Picasso Museum, and you can't book. You usually have to queue because there's such a demand, and they'll come. They're so lovely and friendly, and one of the waitresses, the last time I was there, this is my mom's recipe, and I recommend this, and very local, but very now well known to, I suppose, tourists as well, because it's so authentic. But again, if you are then coming back after the Sagrada Familia, coming back to the Gothic Quarter where you did your walking tour, I'd recommend going to the Picasso Museum. And you also have the Modern Art Museum as well.
So if you could add on then, let's say if you had
Oh,
three
yeah.
days, what else would you
Yeah.
recommend
Well,
to
I
do?
think if that day, if you want to go out, the area that we'd quite go out. Well, we lived in Eixample, but I think when we first came over, we went out quite a lot in the area Elborn, which is quite near the Gothic Quarter and near Barceloneta as well. And there are fabulous bars there. So you have Paradiso, which is like a small, cool cocktail bar that's kind of like a club. Again, you might have to queue for it. You'll find in Barcelona a lot of the bars are very small, packed tight, but really cool cocktails. Really like some of them are like speakeasies nearly, and then a really good place for dinner near Barceloneta would be Mr. Robinson, Mr. Robinson's, and it's a food place it's like a restaurant, and then it turns into kind of like a nightclub. So yeah, that would be a top one to go to, and I've recommended it to lots of people. So I think that's how you maybe end your first day.
Okay. So then what about day two? We're tired now already. We're doing a lot in day one,
Yes,
aren't we?
I'd have the legs walked off most people that come visit me. I then did two explore the different areas in Barcelona. Gracia, which is another area of Barcelona, and again, it's kind of a little bit more higher up. But what I love about Barcelona is you have the sea, but then you also have the mountains. And again, if you want to go to walk, you can walk up to Gracia. But Gracia is beautiful. If you live there, you stay there. So it's beautiful. There's lots of little restaurants, lovely like boutique shops, bars, little plazas. So you can sit out. You can sit out on, and there's all the bars in the plaza, and you can sit out there, and there might be somebody playing music outside. So Gracia is beautiful. So again, explore that, and then also then you can continue up further up to Park Güell. So again, that park was the architecture there was designed by Gaudi. So he was commissioned to build kind of like a residential community for the more affluent people in Barcelona. And some people lived there, but now it is a public, well, it's open to the public. So you can pay to go in. I think you don't have to pay to go on the round, there's some gardens and the park, but to go in to see, it nearly looks like, Hansel and Gretel houses. If you've never been or you know nothing about it, the different colors and the kind of the tiles and the mosaics. Gaudi is, you know him, like I have a few of the mugs that are like Gaudi designs. It's the mosaics, it's the color pieces, in different shapes together. That's beautiful, and you also get a fantastic view of Barcelona.
What about the other areas, Anna?
I live quite near San Antoni. Again, another area not far from the Plaza Universidad, so quite central. And San Antoni is it's lovely. They have lovely bars there. My favorite would be Bar Calder's for a vermouth drink, and there's really lovely restaurants that you can sit outside. Again, not as touristy away from Plaza Catalonia and Las Ramblas. You'd have a lot of people, you'd have, I suppose, some university students living there too, because you're not far from the university. But it's a lovely kind of young, kind of nice kind of vibe in San Antoni. And then Raval, another area in the city, which is quite near to the center. It's kind of behind, I suppose, Las Ramblas. Also have really cool kind of trendy bars as well. Like there are countless amounts of bars. If you want a speakeasy cocktail vibe, if you want like a little pub where there's loads of locals and it's very, Catalan, or if you want a sports bar, or there's so yeah, those areas, San Antoni and then Raval have really cool bars. Really love them.
And Anna, what about the beach?
So in Barcelona, again, that is a man-made beach that was, made for the Olympics in '92. Again, it was not very livable back then, or not livable, but it wasn't somewhere you'd go visit prior to the '92 Olympics down by the beach. It's lovely now, but there's different beaches along the strip. So Barceloneta is the main one, or the one that's near the W Hotel. Maybe you can see that iconic W Hotel kind of coming out by the end of the beach. But then there's nicer beaches as you go as you go along. I quite like Marbella Beach, but the beach is lovely, but there are far nicer beaches, I find personally. It's lovely to go and cool down and go for a swim, when you're in the city or, but I would prefer to go out to, if you have a weekend, go out to Sitges on the train. It takes 40 minutes. Small town of Sitges, which is so beautiful, and their beaches, I personally think, are far nicer. And also, you can go up the Costa Brava as well if you had a whole week coming over to Barcelona. And again, the beaches and the coastal towns in the Costa Brava are beautiful. But yeah, the beaches, like it's so fabulous being able to get the metro or walk to the beach, go for a swim, and then I have a bike, so then I'll cycle back home.
Okay. So tell me, Anna, what would your three top picks of things to see or do that you won't find in a guidebook?
Yeah, so my top one, which I've brought few people now, I think I've done it 3 times, is the Paella Club. So it's in Raval, and you can do different types of courses. But the one we did was a 2 or 3 hour course. There was 6 of us the first time we went, and we were put in pairs, standing at a big paella pan, and given all the ingredients. And two people will make a seafood paella, another one will make a vegetarian one with leek, another pair will make a chicken paella, a meaty one, and then we all make that together. The two guys that run it are fantastic. They're fun and friendly. They're plying us with cava. Music is on. They're telling us, the kind of history of the paella and how it, comes from Valencia, and the different types of, cava and wine they're serving us. And it's just such a fun, good time. And then we made our own dessert, and then we all sit down at the table, because it's kind of small groups, and we all get a taste of the paella we've made, with the dessert, pan con tomate. Again, we made it with the tomato, very simple, the sea salt. And then, like, it is such a good experience. 2 hours, you get the cookbook, the recipe book. My mom bought paella pan and brought it home to Dublin. The app Meetup was fantastic when I came out here. So you join that, and you make a profile, and you put what things you like to do activities wise. It's something where you can meet friends and join clubs and so on. Like, a friend of mine joined a Spanish social kind of club that they meet at a different bar and they speak Spanish, and or if someone wants to learn Catalan, they join up with people that speak Catalan. I went to lots of yoga classes, but also hula hoop classes in Park Güell, run by a lady who used to work in the circus. She was very cool, and she just set
Okay.
them up. I think it was Fridays we'd go to them, for like 2 hours, and she'd go through the different, I suppose, tricks or different techniques with the weighted hula hoop. And we were in the park, on a balmy evening with, people cycling by and having picnics. And it's just so cool. And like, there are countless amount of those not events, those activities that happen. A friend of mine teaches yoga through English, but I used to go to yoga through Spanish. There's dance classes you can do that somebody has just set up, maybe because of the weather. You can do things, you don't have to take a space and rent a space. You can do it all outside if needs be.
And Anna, what about shopping? Any quirky shops, not mainstream shops that you could suggest to people if they wanted to do a little bit of shopping?
Yeah, I think Gracia is. I have two friends that live up in Gracia, and the local shops, the boutique shops, or they're not the mainstream shops. You can get really lovely bits up there, and the shopping in Gracia is beautiful.
Any
Yeah,
markets, any street
yeah. Oh, there's
markets?
lots. So the big one, I suppose, and would be quite touristy, is La Boqueria, which is just off Las Ramblas, and it's huge market that's it's lovely. The vibe in there is great. You'll have seafood, area down the back, and there's cheeses, and fresh fruit in another one, and you can sit up. You can sit up on stools and get a drink of cava and some oysters or whatever, and sit up there and talk to the people serving you. But yeah, go in maybe and get some nice fresh fruit and veg. It's a good atmosphere in there. And then nearly every kind of sometimes Sundays at the end of the month or vice versa, Sunday at the start of the month, you might have outdoor markets. You know, there's one down at the bottom of Las Ramblas. There's also another one in Raval, and they're like vintage markets. I've got lovely, really cool, fleece, or I also got a denim jacket there. I'd highly recommend the on Instagram, Barcelona events and things like that. There's countless amount of Instagram pages that will tell you things that are going on for locals, I suppose, as well as tourists. But yeah, they're really good for outdoor markets. Again, the weather, you can do it.
So now we're going to go into our quick fire round. We'll just go very quickly on the kind of
Yeah.
practicalities. Best way to get
Oh,
around.
I think easily walk. Metro is amazing. Walking metro, perfect.
Right. And best place to stay.
I think if you're coming for a weekend, I'd highly recommend the H hotels. Oh, there's a stunning one. Just you can get the view of the cathedral. There's rooftop bars and pools. They're all over the city, and they're fairly reasonable and fairly they're beautiful. Yeah, I think if you're long term, like when I came over, the app Idealista for longer term rentals was very easy to use.
Okay, so that would be for people maybe, because there are a lot of people now doing hybrid working. So people who maybe wanted to spend a couple of
Yeah.
months. Okay. Best photo opportunity.
Yeah, I think if you get somebody that knows how to use a camera in front of Sagrada Familia, if they bend down, and get you standing up by it to get the view.
Okay. Best place for a coffee.
I loved personally, because it was near my Spanish class, Sierra. There's a few of those coffee shops, but just really good coffee. Kind of takeaway coffee. But I think a lot of the coffee shops around the Gothic Quarter, you can't go wrong.
Okay, great. Best place for a drink.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it already, but I just love bar calders in San Antoni. I love drinking vermouths little with ice, a slice of orange, and an olive. Oh yeah, so refreshing, so lovely. And in there, I think they do the best vermouth, and it's a really cool atmosphere inside. It's hard to get a seat. It's always hopping.
So there's something good about it if it's always hopping. Your favorite restaurant, Anna?
Yeah, I've been here a few times. Gone for my birthday. Sensei tapas. It's again you'll have to book a little bit pricier, but beautiful tapas. Different type of tapas. They'll kind of revamp the classics. You might have pumpkin and different types of vegetables, and with different seafood. Oh, amazing! Again, recommend just nearly getting everything on the menu and just sharing if you have a really big group. And then another one is just off Passage de Gracia. So Passage de Gracia is such a beautiful street. They have you have all the designer shops along there and the architecture again. You have one of Gaudi's bills, Casa Bastillo. Yeah, so it's called El Nacional, and it's beautiful for a group of people. You can go in and go to the restaurant or the bar, and it's really big inside there. So it's just off Passage de Gracia. So yeah, but Sensei Tapas I think is my favorite for kind of an occasion.
Yeah. Okay, lovely. So best art or architecture
I
experience.
do think Sagrada Familia. Yeah, I think so. I think the cathedral is also beautiful in the Gothic Quarter.
But your vote goes to the
I think so.
Sagrada.
It's just nothing like any other cathedral you've ever been, ever.
Okay. And then the best outdoor
Yeah,
experience.
I love going up Montjuic, going for a walk up there behind the palace, but also if you have time to go out, I think it's about an hour and a little bit, getting a train to Montserrat, to the mountain there.
Okay.
The monastery is in Montserrat, and you can hike up there, or you can get a cable car up to the monastery. And it's so beautiful. And
Okay.
if you get up there at a particular time, you can hear the boys' choir singing and the bells ringing, and you can again get a funicular up higher, and just the views there are beautiful. And you just realize you're not far from Barcelona, but you're up kind of in the mountains.
Okay. So best nighttime
Yeah,
entertainment.
I think lots of lovely bars in Elborn. Yeah, the bars in Elborn. Paradiso is a great one. I love Mr. Robinson in Barcelona personally. But again, there's in Eixample as well where I live. There's very lovely speakeasy kind of cocktail bars. There's another bar which is a cool experience, I think, if you come over as a if you're visiting as a tourist, is the Orient Express, where you go in and you get like a passport, like a little book, and on it is your menu, and you pick, what kind of spirit you want. Do you want it fruity? Do you want it, fresh? And then a little train comes down on the tracks. You put your little passport in, and then the train drives back up to the bar. And then the next thing, the train comes back down in about 10 minutes with your cocktail and your little passport in front of it. So there are so many cool like bars.
Okay, sounds great. Then, for the sporting fans amongst us, best local sports
Oh yeah,
experience.
have to go on the tour of Camp Nou, or if you can, to get a game, Barca playing. If you can, Real Madrid, be pretty epic.
Have you done it, Anna? Have you been to matches there?
3 matches, and the first time we went was amazing because we were up quite a high. If you're a resident here, you get discounted prices. The sunset going down, it was stunning. But you can also do the tour of the camp as well, and you'll know that you'll when you do it, that it's a huge sports complex. There's basketball arena. I've gone to a few basketball matches there, which is a cool vibe. But if you do the buses, the hop on, hop off buses that I never mentioned, if you're not doing a walking tour, depending on what coloured one you get, one of them will bring you around there as well, just to kind of glimpse at it. But yeah, you have to go to the stadium.
Yeah, brilliant. So, with all the good, there often comes the bad. So, what has been your worst experience in
Yeah,
Barcelona?
I think it's known for it, I suppose, is the pickpocketers. They're everywhere. You have to have your wits about you, really. Happened to my friend. She was in a taxi that was stuck in traffic with the windows down, with her phone showing something to a friend of hers, and the next thing, somebody put their hand in the window on a scooter, took the phone, and gone. So they are clever. They are, um, I have been really lucky. I've just, been very lucky. I haven't been pickpocketed, so I haven't had that experience. But you need to have your bag on your lap when you're eating outdoors, to have it in front of you at all times. Nothing really in your pockets that are more visible. That's the only kind of negative thing I'd say about the city. You just have to be careful,
Okay, just keep your wits about
100%.
you, as
Yeah.
you say. So, Anna, if you had room in your suitcase, what should you bring home?
I would love to bring home the beautiful tiles that are in the houses in Barcelona. They're also different and colorful. I do have I have a coaster for my teapot that has the colorful tiles of Barcelona. So I will be bringing that home with me.
And what would bring you back here, or what would you miss if you
Oh,
left?
the lifestyle, just the outdoor lifestyle, the weather, being able to do anything in an evening. At home it comes 5 o'clock in the winter and you're inside in the cold watching the television. Whereas in Barcelona, you'd be mad to be sitting inside. You can go to the beach, go and get like a beer or vermouth on the corner, in your corner bar. The price of things. You can get a coffee for if even €2. And it's just, I find as well, there's always something on. There's always a hula hoop class or, a festival or an outdoor market.
And finally, Anna, where would the next best place to Barcelona be?
I think if I were to pick with any place I have traveled to so far, Colombia. I absolutely fell in love with Colombia. I traveled there last Christmas, and again, there's a few Colombian people in Barcelona as well. But again, the culture and the dance and the Spanish language, and yeah, the people were so friendly. So
Okay, well, we might get you back to talk to us about
yeah,
Colombia
absolutely.
someday. Thank you, Anna, for being my guest. It's been fabulous hearing all about
Thank you so
Barcelona.
much for having me. I loved talking about it.
I hope you enjoyed my chat with Anna. Her passion for Barcelona is infectious, isn't it? I'm already planning that trip. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'd love if you'd recommend it to a friend. And remember to be the first to know when a new episode lands. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe. I hope you'll join me next time.